2012, presidents wrote code, mayors pledged to learn, and coding boot camps promised anyone could join Silicon Valley's golden elite. By 2020, big tech hired so fast that Amazon nearly doubled its workforce overnight. But the dream job pipeline became a corporate gamble. Today, 750,000 tech workers have been laid off, and new graduates face a 73% drop in entry-level opportunities. How did the world's safest career turn into a cautionary tale almost nobody saw coming? The answer starts with a promise that felt too good to fail. Code Academy's New Year's campaign in 2012 did more than go viral. It set off a national movement. Times Square billboards promised that anyone can learn to code. That same winter, New York City's mayor Michael Bloomberg pledged online to become a programmer. By the end of the year, the idea that coding was the ticket to a new life had caught fire. In classrooms across the country, students watched President Obama type out a line of JavaScript and urge them to build, not just play, their own games. Code.org's launch video featured Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and will.i.am, telling millions that you do not have to be a genius to code, you just need to be determined. The call to build felt simple and urgent. Bootcamps sprang up almost overnight. In 2012, there were barely a dozen. By 2019, 96 different programs promised to turn anyone, including teachers, baristas, and new grads, into software engineers in 12 weeks. They graduated over 23,000 students a year, each one hoping for a shot at Silicon Valley's golden gates. Boot camps promised fast tracks and new lives. The rewards were impossible to ignore. Entry-level engineers at Facebook and Google pulled in $150,000 to $200,000, sometimes more. Senior engineers at Netflix whispered about million-dollar compensation packages. Perks felt almost unreal, with gourmet meals, on-site doctors, nap pods, even a death benefit at Google that paid a spouse half a salary for 10 years. Reddit threads from 2018 and 2019 read like winning lottery stories. People posted that they landed FAANG at 22 with $180,000, free laundry, free everything. Rewards drove the aspiration. For a generation raised on stories of economic anxiety, tech felt like a safe harbor. Parents told their kids to learn Python instead of piano. Politicians poured billions into initiatives like Obama's Tech Hire and his Computer Science for All plan. The dream was not just about money, it was about building things that mattered, changing the world, and joining a club that seemed to have cracked the code for happiness and security. The campuses themselves became symbols of possibility, open offices, hackathons, a place where anyone could belong if they worked hard enough. For people like Amina, a first-generation college student, the message was clear. Code and you could write your own story. The optimism was contagious, the path well-lit, and the promise felt unbreakable. By the spring of 2020, tech companies threw out the old playbook. What started as a scramble to keep up with remote shopping and streaming became a full-blown hiring spree. Amazon doubled its ranks, pushing its workforce to nearly 1.6 million in a matter of months. Microsoft added over 75,000 employees. Meta's headcount soared by 93%, and Alphabet brought on more than 71,000 new faces, 38% growth, the kind usually measured in decades, not quarters. Inside the companies, the mood was electric. Managers who had spent years justifying every new hire suddenly had blank checks. One manager remembers, "We were told if you find talent, grab them. Don't worry about budget. We'll figure it out." The digital transformation that executives once expected would take years happened almost overnight. E-commerce numbers shattered records. Video calls replaced conference rooms. Even the most traditional industries rushed to build apps and cloud services, desperate to stay relevant. Teams that had struggled to fill one or two roles now staffed up entire departments in a single quarter. Recruiters worked around the clock. Some offered signing bonuses just for showing up to an interview. Blind filled with stories of new hires negotiating multiple offers at once. One engineer posted, "Got hired by Amazon from my bedroom. Never met my boss in person, still haven't." The sense of invincibility spread. Employees talked about unlimited paid time off, stock grants that doubled in value, and the promise that tech was the only industry untouched by the chaos outside. New hires joined Slack channels by the hundreds every week. Onboarding sessions felt like pep rallies. Managers, flush with resources, promised their teams that the only way was up. The cracks began to show. Some managers started to question whether all these roles were really necessary. One recalls, "I had people on my team I'd never spoken to. No one could even explain what half the new hires were supposed to do." The numbers kept climbing, but so did the unease. The hiring boom had created an oversupply. Thousands of engineers and product managers, all expecting the same growth and security they'd been promised. The system was running hot, but no one wanted to be the first to say it might be too much. The scale of the hiring surge primed the industry for something nobody wanted to acknowledge. When the music stopped, there would be far more people than seats. The optimism of the golden era had been replaced by a new kind of pressure, one that would soon force executives to admit just how wrong they'd gotten it. Executives who once promised endless growth now found themselves standing in front of their employees, admitting they had miscalculated. Mark Zuckerberg faced the cameras in November 2022 and said, "I got this wrong and I take responsibility for that." Sundar Pichai told Google staff, "We hired for a different economic reality than the one we face today." Mark Benioff, chief executive officer of Salesforce, put it bluntly, "We hired too many people leading into this economic downturn." Even Amazon's Andy Jassy, usually measured, acknowledged we hired rapidly over the last several years. The numbers that followed these confessions stunned the industry. In 2022, more than 165,000 tech workers lost their jobs as company after company announced cuts. But the real shock came in 2023. January alone saw 89,554 layoffs, a single month that left offices and Slack channels reeling. By the end of that year, the total hit 262,735, the worst annual toll in tech history. The bloodletting did not stop. 2024 brought another 152,000 cuts, and by late 2025, the total had climbed to nearly 750,000 across the sector. Inside the companies, the reality was brutal. Meta's layoffs landed with a 6:30 a.m. email. Badges were deactivated before sunrise. Parking lots filled with employees clutching boxes, some in tears, others just staring at their phones. Slack erupted with confusion and anger. WTF just happened? One engineer who had spent 4 years at Meta posted a video walking out the door saying, "Heartbroken, 4 years gone in minutes." The scale of the cuts was impossible to ignore. Meta slashed 21,000 jobs in 2022 and 2023, then another 3,600 in early 2025. Amazon let go of 27,000 people and then followed up with 14,000 more corporate layoffs in October 2025. Google eliminated 12,000 roles in January 2023. Microsoft cut 10,000, then 15,000 more 2 years later. But the most dramatic story unfolded at Twitter. After Elon Musk's takeover, the workforce shrank from 7,500 to just 1,500, an 80% reduction. One former staffer wrote on Blind that they packed their desk at 28, a $200,000 job, to DoorDash, and they still could not believe it. For senior engineers who had once been the envy of their peers, the sense of security vanished overnight. Amina, who had worked her way up from a bootcamp to a staff engineer role, found out her badge no longer worked before she even got her morning coffee. "I thought I was safe," she said. "I did everything right. I shipped code, mentored juniors, hit every target. Now I am staring at severance paperwork and a job market flooded with people just like me." The shockwaves rippled far beyond Silicon Valley. Layoffs.fyi, the layoff tracker, filled with names once considered untouchable. On Reddit, former high flyers posted desperate updates. Day 47 of unemployment. Burned through half my savings, no interviews. The golden era was over, and nobody knew what would come next. Venture capital, once the lifeblood of Silicon Valley's wildest ambitions, froze almost overnight. Global venture capital funding plummeted from $681 billion in 2021 to just $285 billion in 2023, a 58% drop that left founders scrambling and early-stage startups gasping for air. Series D funding, the final runway for companies hoping to go public, collapsed by 92%. In 2023 alone, more than 3,200 tech startups shut down, taking $27 billion of investor money with them. Bolt, once valued at $11 billion, shrank to $300 million in a single year. WeWork filed for bankruptcy. BYJU's, the Indian edtech darling, fell from $22 billion to $1 billion. The message from investors was blunt. The era of easy money was over. As capital dried up, tech leaders turned to a new solution, one that promised efficiency and cost savings at a scale never seen before. AI wasn't just a buzzword, it became the industry's executioner. In 2025, nearly 55,000 tech jobs in the US were cut with AI cited as the reason. Klarna, the Swedish fintech giant, became a symbol of this transformation. Chief Executive Officer Sebastian Siemiatkowski slashed headcount from 5,500 to 3,000, touting that their AI chatbot handled 2.3 million customer chats in just 4 weeks, work that previously required 700 human agents. The company boasted about speed and savings, with headlines declaring the dawn of a new era. But the story didn't end there. By late 2025, Klarna's leadership admitted the transition had gone too far. Service quality dropped, complaints soared, and the company quietly began rehiring humans to patch the gaps left by automation. A leaked executive chat captured the mood, saying that AI hype overpromised and the company was paying for it now. Other companies followed the same playbook. Duolingo cut 10% of its contractors, announcing it would become AI first. Salesforce's chief executive declared no new engineers after reporting a 30% productivity boost from automation. Microsoft revealed that AI now writes up to 30% of its internal code. For product leaders, these moves looked like progress, proof that technology could finally deliver on decades of efficiency promises. For workers, the signal was clear: the jobs that once launched careers were vanishing, replaced by algorithms that did not need onboarding, benefits, or sleep. The old cycle of layoffs and rehiring had broken. This time, the cuts were not just about surviving a downturn, they were about building a new normal where fewer people did more, and software took over tasks that once belonged to junior staff and support teams. The dream of tech as a place for anyone willing to learn and work hard was being rewritten in real time, not by another market crash, but by a cold calculation. If a machine can do the job, why keep a human on payroll? Amina refreshes her inbox for the 100th time, but the only new messages are automated rejections. It is not just her. The pipeline that once carried thousands of new graduates into tech has dried up almost overnight. According to the Ravio 2025 report, hiring rates for entry-level tech positions have plummeted by 73% in just 12 months. Meanwhile, the number of computer science graduates has more than doubled since 2013, with over 112,000 new degrees last year alone. The math does not add up, more graduates than ever, but fewer open doors. Job postings now demand 2 or 3 years of experience for what used to be called entry-level. In the Bay Area, over 80% of these roles are out of reach for true beginners. Recruiters admit privately that they are overwhelmed with applicants. One posting draws hundreds of desperate resumes, many from people with advanced degrees or years of experience, all competing for the same shrinking pool of jobs. While juniors scramble, companies introduce new hurdles. Amazon's January 2025 mandate requires 350,000 corporate employees to return to the office 5 days a week. A blind survey found 91% of Amazon workers unhappy with the policy, and nearly 3/4 considering quitting. Stanford economist Nicholas Bloom calls it a backdoor layoff, a way to shrink headcount without severance. Executives may not say it out loud, but internal models target voluntary attrition rates as high as 20% in some offices. For those who cannot relocate or who relied on remote flexibility, the choice is stark: come in, burn out, or walk away. Amina scrolls through Reddit threads filled with stories just like hers. Bootcamp grads, top university students, even those with internships at big names, each one boxed out by a system that once promised to reward hustle and talent. The sense of pressure is everywhere. the message is clear. The dream job pipeline is broken and no one is coming to fix it. The fallout from the tech collapse goes far beyond empty offices and lost paychecks. For tens of thousands, the damage is invisible, a gnawing anxiety that lingers long after the severance runs out. Interviews with laid-off engineers and product managers reveal a common fear, not just of unemployment, but of being left behind in an industry that now prizes efficiency over loyalty. On Blind and Reddit, the stories pile up. One developer describes refreshing job boards late at night, convinced he will never work in tech again. Amina, who once mentored interns, now finds herself in group chats trading coping strategies and freelance leads, anything to break the silence. When Microsoft announced mass layoffs, 6,000 employees signed up for Blind in a single week, turning what was once a forum for compensation bragging into a support group for the unemployed. Meanwhile, the numbers on Wall Street tell a different story. Meta's operating margin climbed from 25% to nearly 42% between 2022 and 2025, thanks in large part to layoffs and automation. Investors cheered as the company's stock price tripled, even as thousands of workers packed their desks. The year of efficiency paid off handsomely for shareholders, if not for those left searching for work. Yet in the shadows of this upheaval, new pockets of opportunity have started to appear. Demand for AI and machine learning engineers has soared 143% since mid-2024, with median salaries approaching $157,000. Cybersecurity remains desperate for talent, with 4.8 million positions unfilled worldwide and over 500,000 open in the US. For a lucky few, the promise of tech is still alive. For everyone else, the dream feels further away than ever. Today, tech careers are no longer a guaranteed ticket to security or status. AI writes 30% of Microsoft's code, and entry-level hiring has dropped by half. The industry's promises now collide with a reality where opportunity shrinks, but demand for adaptation grows. The dream of tech isn't dead, it's just unrecognizable. What future will we build when the old blueprint no longer fits? Share your perspective below.